So from today onwards, you can use this link for 14 days. So normally for every 2 weeks, the link will change. That I will update you. Okay. All right. So let me just brief what exactly we have done in our last class. So in our last class, we have understood about the JSON model. What is JSON? First of all, JSON stands for JavaScript Object Notation. So if any data that is present within open curly braces and closing curly braces, so that kind of data is called JSON data. So this is called JSON data for a single record. And if it is multiple records, then it will be inside an array and again the open curly braces, closing curly braces. So we have experimented with the JSON data, how to, if you want to access any field inside the JSON data, how to do that. So all these things we have experimented. And then we pull the backend data by using the manual read call by using OData model. So if you write this dot get owner component or get model, so this returns the OData model, and OData model has manual CRED queue operations methods like model.create, model.update, model.delete, model.read. So we have used the model.read with the employee set so that it calls this particular, just a second. It calls this URL with the employee set and it gives all this data, right? So this data will be sent into the success function in a data parameter. So I have kept a debug point over that inside the success function. We kept the debug point. We have seen what data it is coming. I have shown you the debugger console, right? The console area, the source area. So both of them I have shown, right? And then we have written the business logic. Like if it is a developer, then we are adding your designation and then plus SE, plus SSE, TL, manager. So similarly, we need a serial number, so we added the serial number as well. So like this, so if at all you want to alter the data, if at all you want to add extra columns, so in these kind of situations, you can use the JSON model. However, recommendation from SAP is OData model, but if your situation is like this, even SAP, even SAP suggests to go for the JSON model. So if your requirement demands, okay, right. So in today's class, we are going to see our next thing, that is this requirement, this particular requirement, not the adding additional columns. So additional columns anyway, without JSON model, adding the additional columns is not possible. But let's say this particular developer, which within the round brackets, I want a C, senior developer, I want SSE, team lead, I want TL. So this requirement can still be achieved even though your table is binded directly with the OData model. Okay, so how this is possible? This is possible using a concept called formatter. Okay, so what is this formatter? How to achieve this particular requirement using formatter? So this is what we are going to see in today's class. So for that, I am converting my table into OData model. So this is my table which is binded to the JSON model previously. So you already know how we can pull the data using JSON model. So that concept, once you understand, so that is enough. Now I am again making my table into OData model. So OData model means there is no name for the OData model. So in the view, I can remove the model name not required. And so once the model name is not there, then arrow mark will also be not there. So slash, and then I can give my entity set, which is employee set. So once you give the entity set, now it becomes OData model binding. Okay. So since it's a OData model binding, serial number column cannot be displayed, so remove it. So here also remove it. If you are sending from backend, in your backend logic, if you are keeping that serial number extra field, as well as if you are filling that number as well, then fine. So you can still use OData model. Okay. All right. And then we need to remove this EMP model arrow mark. Okay. So what you can do, find and replace you can do. So you Control F, and then there is a arrow mark here. So replace with empty. Now this is replace, 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 replace. Okay, just like Notepad, you have find and replace option. All right, now let us see. So again, back to our old data, that is developer, senior developer, team lead. So within the round bracket, SC, SSC, TL has gone. So why it has gone? Because I'm not pointing to the JSON array, I'm pointing directly to the entity set. So this means I'm hitting this URL and this data has been looped into my table. So in this data, developer means developer only. There is no SC within the round bracket. I hope you understand why this round bracket SSC, TL, so all these things have gone. So did you understand why they have gone? Because we are not pointing to the JSON data anymore. We are pointing to the OData model binding. Hence, so this is gone. Okay. All right. So even though keeping this OData model binding, still you can achieve this requirement, and that is by using the concept of formatter. Now let us understand what is this formatter with a diagram. So let me take this screenshot, put it over here, right. So here in the table, this designation column is showing the developer, senior developer, team lead. This is because, so here we have this entity set binding, and it works like a loop. So it works, so item stack works like a loop, and it creates column list item. Column list item means row of a table, and then within the row, so I'm keeping this particular text, right? So this is the text of designation 41, line number 41. So the line number 41 text equal to designation is exactly displaying the designation over here, isn't it? So text equal to desig. So the desig is a OData field. So what is desig? Desig is a OData field. Whatever the value this OData field is having, the same value it is displaying in the table. Now in the formatter concept, what we do is we create a separate file called formatter.js. We create a separate file called formatter.js. So we need to create it. This file is not there yet, formatter.js. So since it is also a JavaScript file, so it will have the same syntax. Okay, sap.ui.define section. Okay, so all these things will be there. Now inside the formatter.js, what we do is we write formatting, data formatting related functions. Okay, for example, I will write format designation. Okay, you can give these functions any name, but basically the ultimate purpose of this particular functions is to do data formatting. Okay, in whatever the format you want to appear, you want the data to appear. So those kind of functions you can write. So as an example, let's say I have defined a function called format desig. I have defined a function called format desig, which is a JavaScript function. Now this particular function can receive some input. So I'm going to send this designation value as an input to this particular function from here. So basically what I'm going to do is, in this particular text binding, so the text UI augmented text binding, which is binding to a OData property. So here I'm going to do some change in the binding in such a way that instead of displaying this designation here, the binding first calls this particular function. The binding calls this particular function. While calling this particular function, it will pass this designation as an input to this function. Are you getting my point? So basically, the line number 41, previously, it used it to display the designation, that's all, in the table. So in the table, it directly used it to display the designation. Now what we are going to do is, we are going to change this particular binding expression in such a way that instead of you display this particular value here, first go and call the formatter.js. Inside the formatter.js, go and call the function with the name format designation. Okay. So what is that expression? That and all you will understand directly. So when I write the actual code, as of now you understand, like, so this particular binding expression, which is as of now having desig, D-E-S-I-G, desig. So this is going to be changed in such a way that this will make a call to the format designation function that is present in the formatter.js. So not only it will call the function, but also it will send this current designation value to this function as an input. Okay, so whatever the current iteration, so in the current iteration, if the designation value is developer, then developer will come into this function, into this input parameter. Okay, into this particular input parameter. Got my point? Yeah, here. Okay. Now within this particular function, what we can do is we can write a if condition, whatever you have written already. So this kind of if conditions, if your designation value, if, so whatever the value that you sent here within this round brackets, the desig parameter, so I will check if the value that you sent as an input, so if the designation is for example developer, if the desig is developer, then what I will do, I will return, so there is a statement called return developer plus, so since anyway it's a constant value, I can write like this. Let's see. So similarly I can write else if if the designation value is equal to, for example, senior developer, SR developer, okay, then I can return RETUR and return senior developer, and within the round bracket you can return SSC. So like this we can write our logic. Now what happens is, so once you change this binding, so this binding will call the function and pass its current iterated value, so that is developer or senior developer or team lead. So this will be passed to this function. Now within the function, since we have written the if condition and the return statement, now what happens if the current value is developer, it returns developer and AC. Now whatever you return, remember, whatever you return, it returns to the same place from where it was called, right? So from where did you call this particular function. This function is called from this expression, right? So again, the value will be returned as a result of this call. So this particular designation will be converted like developer SE, senior developer SSE, team lead TL. Okay, so like this will be converted. Clear? So this entire concept is called formatter concept, data formatting. So if you understand this data formatting, so very soon I'm going to show you how you can achieve the wide variety of real-time requirements. Okay, right. So let me also open this, the Fiori Launchpad. Let me open. Yeah. So here, if you observe the skill above, in the skill column, there are a lot of colors. So Java is in green color, ABAP in orange color, SAP UI5 in red color. So we can, this is also called data formatting. Okay, we have formatted the data with color here. Okay. So similarly, if you see the date of joining, the date of joining is coming in a nice DD-MM-YYYY. So that's also a data formatting. So how the date is coming nicely in a DD-MM-YYYY. So if the client want DD.MM.YYYY, so like that also we can show the data. Okay, right. So all these things you will understand now in today's class. So for the entire requirement, if you want to achieve, the first thing you need to do is you need to create this file called formatter.js. Every application will have this formatter.js. Any data formatting related code for any view, not only for this view one, but any view. So entire thing will be written inside formatter.js. So a single point of contact for any formatting related stuff in the entire application. Okay, right. So way to create the formatter.js. So SAP's recommendation is to create formatter.js under the model folder, because the model responsible for data formatting, data manipulation. So under the model layer, so under the model folder only, we need to create the formatter.js. So right click on the model folder, go to new file and type formatter.js. Okay. Now there should be a skeleton code for formatter.js. So generally in real time people will copy and paste this skeleton code. So if you want to copy paste the skeleton code, even you can do that. So let me just take that skeleton code. Skeleton code can be copied, not a problem. That's fine. Formatter.js skeleton, yeah. So this is called the skeleton code of formatter.js. I will recommend you also, you can copy this skeleton code, not a problem. But I will compare this skeleton code with our view1 controller or component.js, so any JavaScript file. So every JavaScript file will have sap.ui.define section. So our formatter.js is also having sap.ui.define section. After that, any libraries that you want. Formatter.js does not require any libraries as of now. If it requires, then you can add it here. But as of now, no libraries required. So here you can see the array symbol started, array symbol ended, and in between the libraries. Okay, so here array symbol started, array symbol ended, but in between no libraries as of now required. And after the array is over, there is a function with the shortcut names. So here also, after the array is over, this is the function with the shortcut names. Okay, so no libraries, so no shortcut names. Okay. So just for your convenience, I'm keeping this function in a separate line. Actually not required. I'll just keep this also in the next line so that you understand this one and this one are the same. See, SAP Fiori define section, array symbol start, array symbol end, and two libraries. So here array symbol start, array symbol end, no libraries. Okay, so no libraries means no shortcut names. And this is the function, and after that use strict statement, and this is also the use strict statement. Okay, so use strict statement. So after the use strict statement, the inheritance statement that is written, and then your controller, which is the superclass, extending its features to this view1, which is view1 controller. So, but here there is no inheritance, nothing. So it simply starts with a return statement with an open curly braces and closing curly braces. That's all. So this is the skeleton of your formatter.js. So if you want to type, you can type. Otherwise, I would recommend just copy paste this skeleton code. That is fine. Okay. Yeah. Within this open curly braces and closing curly braces, you can define your own functions. So let me define my first formatter function, that is format designation. All right. So this is our function. Now this particular function should receive the input parameter called design. And now we can write our business logic. So if the value that the input parameter got is, so if it is developer, then we need to return developer within the round bracket SC. I can copy this and add a else if like this. So this is senior developer, and if it is senior developer, then it should be SSE. Now copy the else if, paste it again, and if it is team lead, TEAM team lead, then this should be team lead, then TL, not RL, it's TL. And if it is manager, then it's in GR. So let's write else if. So let's say this is manager, and this should be MGR. So now this particular function is ready. So my formatter function is ready. Now the rest of the story is how to change this binding expression in such a way that it will go and call the formatter.js file, and inside the file it should call format designation function and supply this designation value, the current iterated value, to this function. Okay, so let us see how to do this.